Hey, this Isaias, and this is something that needed to be discussed for a while, and yeah, it has to do with Xbox One, but also more or less the entertainment community in general, and a lot of people have been saying this, and I don't know why Nintendo had to put that damn HDMI import on the back of their Xbox One, because in general, speaking about cable television, it's dying. It's been slowly dying. And of course, let's not forget that most international cable companies can't even work with Xbox One, and then you got the um, HD HPCD protection that's in within most of the U.S. It doesn't make a lick of sense. Having your cable and all this in one, saying Xbox off and on, is just relatively stupid. But anyways, but in general, in entertainment general wise, and this also is why this function on Xbox One is useless. And this is, like I said, not just about Xbox One, but also about the whole entertainment area in general. It Cable's dying. It's been dying for a while, and this is a real problem for a lot of people. And it's not just YouTube that's slowly killing cable networks. It's a whole pack of fucking internet shit, and also because it's extremely easy to share video among the internet than it is to just watch television. We got Hulu, Netflix, and countless other streaming services now, and of course Amazon Direct, all of which has original shows now. All of them. Amazon Prime, Netflix, and Hulu all have original shows. Of course, Amazon Prime and Hulu shows theirs on a weekly basis, and I think Amazon Prime has a voting system on some of their shows. While Netflix, well, they just show it all at once. And if you remember, Netflix's stocks were plummeting down to almost nothing until, House of Cards came out, and now, countless others. I think Orange is the New Black or whatever. And when they started coming out, a whole shit ton of original programming. Then you got the anime networks like Crunchyroll and all that shit. Even though Hulu has most of the animated shows that are on Crunchyroll, that's not a joke. That's actually pretty much true. I'm not kidding. Hulu's selection on anime has actually gotten a hell of a lot more fucking better than it used to. And somewhat to extent, somewhat Netflix selection of anime. Somewhat. And the problem is that there are more and more people unsubscribing to cable and going with, Hulu, Netflix, and all that other shit. The only real reason why you want to keep cable is probably Games of Thrones on HBO and I think Homefront. But beyond that, it's just not really much of anything on cable. Half of all their shit, I mean, half the regular TV shows are on Hulu. Especially with the CW, which has absolutely no good shows on there, except maybe Supernatural. I mean, let's face it, Supernatural's a kick-ass show, but we got a kick-ass show on a shit network. I hope that spin-off series that's going to kick off from Supernatural with their backdoor pilot that's coming out soon on this season of Supernatural is good, but other than that, there's nothing really to recommend on CW other than to take the studio and burn it to the ground. And nobody mentioned that god-awful remake of Beauty and the Beast TV show. Ever. I mean it. That show sucks. And of course, UPN, which is all but dead. And yeah, I know, they merged with CW and half their shows are with CW, but CW killed all the shows that were on UPN. Basically, it's all just teenagers now. Just fucking teenagers and young adults. Like having a cop. I mean, How many times are we going to have it where we see a woman who's clearly in her teens or 20s in a fucking pretending to be a fucking high class detective? Oh wait, never. Fuck you, CW. You're an insult to television in general, except for Supernatural. Seriously, how many fucking underage kids are working high-end government jobs these days? How many? Even that's not even real life. Worse than 007's World's Not Enough. What's her name playing Merry Christmas? Yeah, she's a nuclear physicist. Yeah. I know she married Charlie Sheen, but I don't care what her name was. It just didn't make a fucking lick of sense. And yeah, I know CW is not the epitome of all networks. But the central fact is, why even... I mean, even the new show, Almost Human, which I want to do a review on that one. I don't necessarily hate it or like it, but I'll explain in my review whenever I get around to it. But Almost Human, the new show, can be watched on Hulu. So if you miss an episode when it airs, you can watch it on Hulu. I mean, you don't even need a DVR system anymore for half the shows that are on TV. If you could just turn on your PS4 or Xbox One or Wii U or even 360, fucking any goddamn machine that has internet streaming capabilities, flip it onto Hulu, and there you go. And it works on a week-by-week basis. So it's not a fucking problem. And yeah, you can watch all this stuff on HBO Go, but you need the HBO channel to subscribe to it. And that's the only fucking lynch that right there. Why does HBO do this? Because they need you to stay and as a subscriber to the cable networks, because the cable companies want you to keep dumping money into them. And the thing is that it's becoming more and more useless. And not only that, now HBO and other channels are even thinking about creating their own apps with their own subscription service separate from their channels, allowing people to view their new shows without having to go to the cable networks. HBO is one of these channels that is thinking of maybe doing that. And you would have to pay the same amount of money to the people who paid for the HBO channel minus the extra channels on cable networks, but you will only get HBO Go along with its other channels, and you can watch their channels through the internet without the fucking cable box. And the reason why HBO is considering it, they haven't brought it out yet, but they're considering it, is quite simply they can see the doomstick coming out on fucking cable television. You only got really, a few flimsy channels here and there that are holding on to with these fantastic shows, but most of these shows are all being put on either Hulu or Netflix, which leads to, why the fuck should I even give a shit? And as for your news broadcasting, just go to their webpage. It's right there. It's just that we're in a time where television is becoming more and more useless, and computers are starting to take over the TV sets and starting to dominate these TV sets. And not only just computers, we have devices that hook into TVs, and it just does the job of what cable boxes used to do. And these cable boxes are becoming more and more and more useless. I give it maybe maybe one more year before, you start seeing these major companies just give it up on these cable companies and just leaving them. And the cable companies, in order to survive, just starts coming out with individual apps with their own individual subscription services, or just pumping them through fucking Hulu. I mean, Hulu is already owned by all the major networks. All the major networks own Hulu. Even HBO has stock in fucking Hulu now. I just don't see cable in the future at all. Even Adam Sessler on G4, when he was reviewing the Xbox One, even said that he's not too sure that cable's going to survive, and that, basically the Xbox One is a contradiction in itself. with the 24-hour online always need it, but yet you need a fucking cable box to make this thing run? Seriously? A fucking cable box. Doesn't make a lick of sense. And it does make sense to me because, well, cable's almost going out the fucking door anyways. It's practically out the door, and their ratings are dropping because everybody's watching their shows on fucking Hulu or on Netflix now, as well as Amazon Prime. So, why? Just, there's nothing there. If ever you, it's just the way it is. See ya.